Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. This is NFL week number 9 already. It seems like the season's just flying by. We are rebounding well as a team from the debacle we had 2 weeks ago on the show. But like I've said, there's 18 weeks in the NFL, there's 18 holes in golf, and even the best professionals on the PGA Tour have that bogey somewhere. And we just happen to have it right then on that week. We never know when it's going to happen. And if you learn anything from these shows, these things will happen to the very best of the best. And there's no way to avoid it. But the point is, put your vision on the longer term. We're hitting in the low 60s against the number. That doesn't include the money line sprinkles that we recommend doing, such as the sprinkle on the Jets last week and the Patriots and a lot of dogs that we do give out. So we're trying to be just 100% transparent with the actual ATS record. But just know that those sprinkles do add up, and that's why we recommend them. So anyway, enough about the past. Let's look at the future here on the Week 9 NFL card. We're going to start out with Dr. Chuck. 4:05 p.m. on CBS TV. The Chargers, who were upset by those Patriots last week, are going to go to Lincoln Financial Field in the city of brotherly love to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are finding themselves 3-5, coming off a tremendous, surprising win last week, where they actually were able to run the ball, and it was against Detroit, though. The Chargers come into this game a minus 1.5 point road favorite with a total of 50 points. Take it away, Dr. Chuck, and tell us where the best bet is for this game.
Well, just in your little synopsis there, you brought up several of the aspects that I'm looking at here. You called it an upset. That's not what you said on the show. You called that very correctly, that you thought the Patriots would cover and win that game, as they did. Hasn't been a good couple weeks for the Chargers. But in addition, Jesse and I both pretty bullish on the Lions last week, thinking that maybe if they're not going to go 0-16, this is a good spot for them, get the Eagles at home. I power rated the Eagles pretty close to the Lions heading into last week, but because of that performance, there's a couple things that I love. I love fading a team off of just an absolute mauling of a team, especially if it was on the road and they're coming back home. This line opened, I think, 2 or 2.5. It's down to 1, and you can get this at a pretty solid money line price as well, and it might even keep dropping because money seems to be heading in the Eagles' direction. But what you mentioned, this game is at 4 o'clock. So what's interesting about that is when we talk about West Coast versus East Coast travel situations and things like that, West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast trying to get their body clock starting a game at 10 a.m. is not ideal. This is a situation where it's not ideal for the Eagles to wait around and play in their park all the way till 4, which is an advantage for the Chargers. The Chargers flew out 2 weeks ago to play a 1 o'clock game, 10 o'clock their time, and got hammered by the Ravens in a spread that was pretty tight. So we not only get a spread that isn't as much as I have it rated, we get a body clock situation that it actually favors the road team, and a team that's a home dog inside home field advantage is 0-7 straight up, 0-7 ATS the last 7 games.
That's amazing.
And I'm sorry here. And on top of that, I also get, just self-serving, this is one of my overplays on season wins, and I love getting to back a team that I already have a play on the over in the season and get a win during the season in season. So the Chargers money line -1. I would play it up to -3, honestly, which is where I had it. So any of those are going to be good.
Awesome breakdown, Chuck. And there's been a lot of studies done about what you were saying with the time of day that is peak athletic activity, peak athletic performance, and you're spot on with that. And I like to call the West Coast team coming east and playing at 4 o'clock quite a bit. That's a very important factor in that game.
But also, the one thing I forgot to mention, it doesn't happen that often, and
right.
It's 7-1 the last 8.
Yeah, and that's great stuff. Let's move on to Jesse Schule here. We're going to take a look at a 1 o'clock game. 2 East Coast teams in this matchup. We have the New England Patriots, 4-4. Finally at 500, they could easily be 7-1, guys. They failed to score in a red zone and missed the field goal against the Bucs. They had a Damian Harris red zone fumble that cost them in the season opener, and they had a 3-and-out possession in the overtime loss to the Dallas Cowboys. So they might be a team playing a lot better than an even 4-4 record. They're 3-0 away. Panthers are also 4-4. It's a pivotal game for both teams. New England finds themselves a 4-point favorite with an over-under of 41 points. Take it away, Jesse, and tell us where the best bet is in this matchup.
Well, John, as you said, the Patriots have been playing quite well, and they could be a lot better than their record would lead us to believe. And the Panthers are struggling since the injury to Christian McCaffrey. They've looked terrible. Even last week, they managed to pick up a win over Atlanta. But Sam Darnold also suffered a concussion in that game. He's questionable to play this week. His play hasn't been that great anyways. In the game against Atlanta, he only threw for 129 yards on 13 of 24 passing. He's got more picks than he does touchdowns this year. And New England looks pretty good coming in as a road favorite here. Chuba Hubbard trying to pick up the slack for McCaffrey. He's doing an okay job. He's averaging 3.6 yards per carry, which is well below the league average. I just don't see how Carolina is going to get enough offense here against a very stingy New England defense. The Panthers have struggled against the spread at home. They're 4-11-1 against the spread in their last 16 home games. So I'm going to take New England.
I like it quite a bit. I had New England last week, and they came through in flying colors. And I think they're a team that's going to certainly be a playoff contender down the stretch here in the second half of the season. So we're going to move on to my pick here, and my pick is involving the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. And this game is set to start at 1 p.m. Can be seen on CBS TV. It can be viewed live at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Burrow continues to just outperform my expectations, my model's expectations, yet Cincinnati is only a 2.5-point home favorite. Over under 46.5 points. So the Bengals here, and I did have the Jets last week on a different show, and they did what they did, and it just reminded me of so many other upset situations that we've seen in years past. And for whatever reason, maybe the Bengals were looking ahead to this divisional showdown. Maybe they were still hungover from the big win at Baltimore where they destroyed the Ravens. But this is a team that is much better than the Browns. And the Browns are struggling. And it's not because of their quarterback issue. They're struggling on both sides of the ball. They rank 21st in offensive yards per point in the league. Cincinnati ranks 5th. Cincinnati also ranks 5th in defensive yards per point, and Cleveland a distant 26th at 13.6, which means the lower the number on defensive yards per point means it requires fewer yards for the opponent to put 1 point on the scoreboard. And Cincy's number is 17.8, Cleveland's is 13.6. That's monumental. That's like from here to Pluto, or at least Saturn. It's two different qualities of defensive performance, and Cleveland is not a good team right now in my eyes. So, Zach Taylor for the Bengals, I really like how he's coaching, and he's going to have that team focused because the remaining schedule for them includes 4 games against the AFC North. Then they also have dates with the Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. They got to win this game and hope that Jets miscue is not going to be the reason they don't make the playoffs. But I really believe in this team a lot. They did allow 511 yards to the league's worst offense last week. I mean, the stats are just mind-blowing. But the good news is that the Bengals are still moving the ball. And Joe Burrow, he was 21 of 34, 259, 3 touchdowns last week. He's 3rd in the NFL in touchdowns with 20, 5th with 2,215 passing yards. And from my predictive model, the Bengals are expected or predicted to average 8 or more yards per pass attempt. In home games, when they have achieved this or exceeded it, they're 7-1 against the spread. And against this defense that I think is Swiss cheese, I wouldn't be surprised if Burrow's numbers approach closer to 10 than they do approaching to 8. Also, Bengals are 25-9 against the spread, coming off a game in which their defense allowed 300 or more passing yards. All said and done, I'm on Cincinnati minus the points. And if it goes down to minus 1.5, I would recommend playing the money line at that point. So that's about all we have for today. Thank you, Jesse, for your pick. Thank you, Dr. Chuck. Thank you both always for being such committed to these shows. We love doing them. People that are watching this show, feel free to leave a comment, ask questions. We'll do our best to get back to everybody. The idea is to share knowledge and also grow the subscriber list. So make sure you ring the bell and hit the thumbs up if you like the show. We appreciate it very much. So on behalf of Jesse, Dr. Chuck, and myself, may all the wins be yours. Thanks again for watching.